All right, good morning. My name is Captain Richardson. Today my brief is going to be on the surge in General Petraeus.
They came to us first and said, we're tired of Al-Qaeda preying on our people. Can we secure our neighborhoods without having you shoot us in the back? And at that point, General Petraeus said, well, not only can I do that, but I'll support you, and ordered his commanders to support the Sons of Iraq movement. We eventually agreed to pay for their security services because we realized they needed a way to take care of their families. But it was cheap, $16 million a month. It was cheap at probably 10 times the price. Because what this gave us was 103,000 people securing their neighborhoods against insurgents and terrorists. That's equivalent to 103 battalions of light infantry, ones that we didn't have to provide any combat service support for.
All right, this is Peter Mansour, the author of The Surge. Pretty much what this video did is kind of give you a little brief overview of how we assisted the Iraqi people in countering this surge. Today, this is my agenda. We'll be going over a quick background of where we're at in the Iraqi war right before the surge. We'll go over mission command analysis, results of the surge, and then significance of the analysis. All right, for background, General Casey identified a fundamental source of conflict within the Iraqi people, and this was the competition of ethnic and sectarian communities for power and resources. This is problematic because right now they would be almost warring to the extent for trying to compete for power and resources. And as you see here, the security challenges would be between homegrown terrorists and insurgents, militants, and also you have Syrian forces, Iranian forces throwing fuel in the fire, creating security challenges for the country. Also, the security challenges is the government of Iraq itself. It's not quite developed yet, so there's mistrust going on within the government and various forms of corruption. And another thing General Casey found that is an underlining that we are not achieving our mission objectives. And the mission objectives, the key to securing Iraq, was securing the population and reduce sectarian violence against these competing forces that are trying to do it peacefully, but with all these security challenges becoming more violent. For building cohesive teams through mutual trust, we see emergence of tribes and local citizens. This is more prevalent in the Anbar province. So as we start seeing in the Anbar province, the year ago, you can see in June 2006, the attacks were low in our left chart right there. But as the months go on, the attack starts to rise, and Anbar is considered politically a loss to the Iraqi country. But with the beginning of the surge in December and January of 2006 and 2007, we started seeing these attacks slowly diminish and almost to low numbers here, really low numbers in August of 2007. In coordination with the Iraqi government, because of Anbar's increase in security forces, we now see them working with the National Reconciliation Committee. This engages the tribes and local citizens that want to expose extremists and contribute to the local security. And in this chart we see right here, we can see the volunteers of the Sunnis and the Shias, and then we also see the mixture together, which is almost unheard of for Iraq. Sunnis and Shias just do not work together. Providing clear commander's intent. The new intent was General Petraeus' new counterinsurgency doctrine. This doctrine was to provide safe and security to cities and major areas within the country. The main idea was to secure Baghdad, which would be the mission protecting the population and from the sectarian violence again. Counterinsurgency was redefined by General Petraeus Petraeus. He took the successes and failures of the previous commanders and redefined counterinsurgency and defined it as an offensive-defensive mixture of stability operations. The population, according to General Petraeus, was the key to winning Iraq, was the civilian population. And empower the political solution. As I said before, the Iraqi government was not very stable at the time. General Petraeus said that the key to power political solution was the Iraqi government and stabilizing it. Use of mission orders. General Petraeus gave clear direction on how he wanted the counterinsurgency mission to go. He wanted to secure the Iraqi people against ethno-sectarian violence, and he was willing to do this by placing coalition forces within the Iraqi population. By doing this, General Petraeus said that we cannot fight counterinsurgency while en route to the battle. We had to be in the battle. General Petraeus also stated that the surge itself was prudent risk. At the time of the Iraq War, we're about 4 or 5 years within it. We're losing Congress is losing patience. The American people are losing interest, and so the surge itself was like pretty much. It was the best number of failing strategies at the time. The Iraqi government also had to fix some internal issues. Like I said before, we had the Shias and Sunnis that were unbalanced power within the government. This was a risk of civil war happening at the same time. The Iraqi government would also need to produce more security forces which were untested or trained, so creating another prudent risk. But this would be key to securing the country. Results of the surge. The results of the surge are pretty much new concepts that are employed by General Petraeus and his counterinsurgency force. Because of this, we see violence decrease by 90%, and he would be able to relay this to Congress. Challenges still exist. That we still have the Shias who are worried about the Sunnis rising and creating another dictatorship, and we're worried about the Sunnis were worried about the Shias not being able to stay above them. And the Kurds were just worried about the past and worried about how that would reflect in the future. So the Kurds were just worried about the whole thing in general. And by utilizing Mission Command, the coalition forces were able to build trust with the Iraqi government. Just purely by dedicating the troops for the surge, this showed that the coalition forces were dedicated to the security for Iraq. And General Petraeus was also able to give clear policy and identify risk and mitigate them. For my significant analysis, the U.S. forces can apply lessons learned in Iraq just based off the counterinsurgency for any other theater. General Petraeus was able to improve again on the lessons learned from previous commands and the failures and successes, and understand his allies and his enemies at the same time. By applying these steps in Mission Command, the battle commander can apply properly counterinsurgency in a given scenario based off the Iraq War. Any questions?